Oh my. What is up, yo? It's time for another brain drain. Oh, yeah. You know it's that time of year when we can finally have some game times that are reasonable. Yes, however, this result probably not what we were expecting. The Auburn Tigers fall at West Virginia by a score of 80-77. In a game that was just very odd. Another horrendous first-half performance from the Tigers. Got behind by, I think, 16 at halftime. Got down as deep as 17, I believe, there early in the second half. And then made a really nice rally there. Kind of got their stuff together defensively, getting more steals, being more active on the attacking end, getting Janai involved. Jalen kind of took command of the game. I loved what Trey Donaldson brought, backing up Wen today because I didn't think Wen was very good. So a lot of good things happening in the second half. Ultimately, not enough defensive fervor in the final 4 minutes, which you can't necessarily give them too much hell about because it took a lot of energy to get back from that 17-point deficit just to get in position. I think they got it down to 1. I think Jalen missed a free throw that could have tied it. KD missed a free throw that could have tied it. And a lot of times there's a certain psychological piece of when you pull a game even after being down by so much, and they were never able to get that final hurdle. Anyway, guys, another Saturday in the SEC. Alabama playing at Oklahoma today, a arena I've been in a few times in my life. Well, I just got the game wrap out as well. It's on the front page of auburnsports.com. You guys, actually, it's on the bunker as well. So if you guys see that, you know what time it is. Let me bounce over to our main page here where we do most of our work. I will put up the box score. Is this the right one? Nope, that is not the right one. That is the halftime box score. Thank you, JG. We are on Ecamm. That's the application I use to put the show out. They just put out a new version of the application, and it was tough to know. It was a major overhaul, and I was on their little Zoom call Friday to try to understand the changes they were making and how they were going to affect us here. So hopefully everything's going to work the way that it should on that end, but I don't have any reason to think it won't. And I did not expect a lot of folks on the show because it was another disappointing loss. The first losing streak for BP in almost 2 years, which is pretty amazing to even think about. Now I got to find this little game of where did you put the box score, JG? Okay, it's right here. It is. Really, an interesting game. Auburn having such a terrible first half, especially defensively, and then coming back to and getting things done in the second half in a big, big way. I got some of the numbers here quickly. Auburn's overall numbers, and these are on the game wrap. It's on the front of auburnsports.com right now. 23 of 40 from 2, so that's 58%, right on par with what they usually do. 6 of 19 from 3, which is 32%. That's on par with what they usually do. Free throw line, 13 of 18, 72%. And that's on par too. So Auburn offensively with 77 points is pretty much, that's what they do. Defensively, that's where things get a little bit hairy. West Virginia was 16 of 34 from 2, which is 47%. That's not too bad, but 9 of 20 from 3. And I got to believe Stevenson had, 7 of those? How many? Yes, he did. He had 7 of their 9 threes, that one guy. And he tore them up. 21 of 25 at the line also for West Virginia. I believe they were 19 of 21 at one point and had some trouble there late. But nonetheless, got the work done at the free throw line, and they deserve credit for that, no doubt about it. In the second half, BP mentioned this on the radio show, 4 two-point buckets for them in the second half, which is Auburn did what it wanted to do defensively, but Stevenson, he was still a problem. I mentioned this in the game wrap that, for the most part in the second half, Stevenson just shot over the defense. And when you're dealing with a shooter like him who can pass the ball, and you guys saw some amazing passing from him and Toussaint as well today, you can't extend super far out against somebody like that who can pass as well as he can because he'll just burn you. I mean, they'll just post up and they'll have the numbers. So you got to let him shoot. You just can't extend beyond, let's say, 21 feet. And he shot a few of those from 24, 25. So you just got to, watch and appreciate what he's doing there. We do have Super Chats coming through. Kanuman is with us in West Virginia. He's actually at the arena. Ward Amigo from the West Virginia Coliseum parking lot. Kanuman was on a cruise last week and was still on part of the show. The dedication is amazing. Thank you, Kanuman. That stadium looked really dark on TV. I don't know if it felt that way inside the arena, but it was not a pleasure to watch on TV for a few reasons, but mostly because it wasn't bright at all. Feel Like a Stranger jumps in with a super chat as well. It says, word up, everybody saying. Tough loss. Good fight in the second half. If we could have actually taken the lead when we came back, might have shaken West Virginia. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of a psychological barrier. They tried to push through, and they didn't quite get there. They had so much energy expended from like the 18-minute mark to about the 4-minute mark, and I think they just kind of ran out of gas a little bit. But nonetheless, it's great to see that after what happened against Texas A&M, right? A similar situation in the first half against A&M. Allowed Redmond to beat them badly, fell behind by 15 at the half in that A&M game. I know that game was at home, but nonetheless, second half, you kind of learned a little bit from that, right? They didn't allow Eric Stevenson to beat them as willfully as Redmond did. They really did fight back against Stevenson, but he was just up to the task tonight. I mean, if you're going to hit from 25 feet, I mean, shit. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Pocket Watch jumping in as well. We love Pocket Watch. What an absolute stud that guy is. Ward Amico from the parking lot as well. They often move in pairs. The brain drainers out there. Just, making sure. Having moved 2.5 car lengths so far, going to need a strong, long brain drain today. Difficult to get out of Morgantown, I believe. I have been there. 2000 and whatever year that was, they played football. Was not impressed with their stadium. I believe that was still to this day the longest Auburn football drive in history, though. I think it was 21 plays. And I think it ended with a field goal. Which is perfect for Tuberville's last season, I guess. Also a super chat. Glad to have you here, Pocket Watch. Also, I'll be Laker in the house. Great comeback, just fell short. F.U. Marshall Henderson. That's pretty funny. Stevenson and Marshall Henderson. Two guys that, talk a lot of junk and hit a lot of shots. That's for sure. C-Red13 says in the chat, wish we could have landed Stevenson. Yeah, Auburn did pursue him. They love Stevenson. There's like this narrative on the bunker that like Auburn didn't offer him, and Auburn loved him. He was one of their main targets in the portal. He played at South Carolina last year, and Auburn he hit Auburn really hard, and he really impressed them with the way he played in that game. He also played at Wichita State, I think, to open his career, and then played 1 year at Washington before going to South Carolina, and then on to West Virginia. Auburn did want him, and you can see why. He's solid on defense. He's an outstanding shooter, and he's a very, very deft passer as well. He can almost play like de facto point guard. He's not a point, but I mean, he's very comfortable with the ball in his hand. He's a tremendous player. Doesn't usually take over games like this, and he was really engaged in this one. So all credit to him. One of the really truly excellent individual performances we've seen against Auburn in a while. Really, really good. I guess the one from Redmond to Texas A&M the other day was really, really good too. Let's see, Kanuman, again, who is checking in from, he was at the game today, says, the Coliseum was better than I expected. Granted, my expectations were a worse BEMC. Yeah, I got it. That would probably be my expectation too, honestly. C. Jones jumps in here and says, how in the world did Janai not get the ball and score in the first half? Yeah, crazy, right? He opens 0 for 3 in the first half and then just isn't really part of the equation and then goes into halftime with 0 points. You're right. How does that happen? I mean, he's the star player for this team. C. Jones goes on to say he scores a few in the first to go along with his strong second half and Auburn wins. Yeah, you're probably right. We've talked about this a little bit on the show before. Jalen is such a nice person that sometimes I think it's hard for him to flip the switch and become that mean, dominating player that he needs to be at times for Auburn. I thought he did a nice job today with that. Janai is a similar kind of guy. Like, he doesn't have that, like, alpha male temperament. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes he has a hard time imposing his will when he has to kind of press the accelerator to do it, There's a lot of games where he's in a great position. They get the ball to him where he needs it, and he can just get it done because he's really good at that. In the other games where the defense takes it away from him a little bit, or his teammates aren't quite getting to him as often as they should, he just doesn't have that personality to start yelling at people and tell people to get their shit in gear, It's just part of his personality. C-Red13 says, it reminded me of J.J. Redick, the way he catches and shoots so quick. Yeah. I don't know why you got to bring up Duke, but, whatever. I do understand what you're saying there, and I would agree. He was incredible today, and you can see why they wanted him so badly. By the way, I am drinking today. I am of age. I'm drinking this Yellowstone 2022 annual selection. This, by the way, has nothing to do with the TV show, the excellent TV show on Paramount. This is from Lebanon, Kentucky, Marion County, Kentucky, which is in central Kentucky, a little bit northeast of Bardstown. And this is where my dad was born. Well, not in the distillery, but my dad was born in Lebanon, Kentucky. And my peoples are from Lebanon, Kentucky. So this is kind of a home brew, as it were, although I have no kin that I know of that's involved in this particular distillery. But I feel like I'm transported back in time when I drink it. I like it a lot. Kind of soft on the front end. Has a little bit of a funk, but I find it appealing. And then it has a nice little heat on the end, even though it's only 101 proof. So it drinks a little hotter, as my man Cuz would say, and I think he did say that last night when he had his first pull. Patrick D says, Canoeman headed back to Scholar Hotel downtown, and then we going out. Where you be? Look at this, getting it coordinated there, out that way. Let's see, we got one Lansdale. Am I saying that right? Yansdale? Can Westry be that much worse than Zepp and KD? Look, here's the deal. Westry's on the scout team. Westry had the injury, the meniscus tear, that essentially knocked him out for 6 weeks right as they were getting started in the season. And I just don't think, as a true freshman, if you're going to miss 6 of the most important weeks of the season to kind of get your foundational understanding of what they're doing defensively, what they're doing on the attacking end, I just don't think you can keep up. And I think because during the season, when they practice, if you ever go to an Auburn practice, they don't go through foundational stuff at this time of year. They assume that you've got that down. So what they're doing in practice now is they're either scrimmaging or more likely just like certain drills that they do all the time. And then they have what I would call a short install of specific sets, offense and defense, for this opponent coming up, plus the scout team running those sets. So whoever has the scout, so for instance, in the game coming up against Georgia, Stephen Pearl has that scout. He's going to run the scout team and get them set up the way they need to set up to give you looks for Georgia, right? If you're a true freshman and you didn't have those 6 weeks to kind of get that foundational understanding in October and November, there's no time to get it back because they're just going into installs and you're going to be lost. Chance is playing on the scout team. Chance is playing his butt off on the scout team. And I think he's in the right place for him right now. He's not mad about it. He's competing his ass off. He's a good player. I think he's an outstanding passer. He can be a great scorer too. But he's just too far behind. Let's see. AU Taxman says, "What time's the game?" Do we have a laugh? Hold on. Oh, you're watching the Alabama game now. Who cares? Nobody cares. Thanks, AU Taxman. I hope you've had a chance to slug on this Yellowstone release. I mean, this is not like life-changing bourbon by any stretch, but I like it. I wish it were cheaper. Because if this was a $50 bottle, as it should be, I would drink it a lot. C-Red says, any update on Westry and Traore? Now, Traore is one that I need to ask a few questions about that one because he's a full go in practice. He's definitely not hurt. Now, Westry's not hurt either, by the way. At this point, he's fine. But I've explained to you why he's not playing. Traore is not that. I think they just felt in the Texas A&M game, it was more like that's a very physical ball club, and he's not really a physical player at this point. He still needs to add some weight and upper body strength. You know, West Virginia, to me, probably wasn't quite like Texas A&M, so maybe there was an opportunity for him to play there, but I mean, Jalen was just a huge part of this game today, and really the only minutes that Traore. I mean, I don't know. I'll ask about that. It's a good question, C-Red. Travis J jumping in. Yo, what up, man? Glad to have you here on the show. Says, what's up? What is it? Our guards 1v1 defense is terrible, Jay. Yeah, it's not looking great right now. I feel like Zepp has taken a little bit of a step back defensively. He's a good defender. He hasn't been a great defender. And then Wen is just, he's okay, almost. And then Al's probably taken a little bit of a step back defensively too. Although he's been much better on the attacking end. I wrote this in the game wrap that's on the front of auburnsports.com right now that I think Al, being a pug trying to fight a Doberman today in the first half, saved them from complete embarrassment in the first half. Because he was the only guy, he was, in my opinion, the only guy balling in the first half. He had 10 points on like 4 of 8 shooting or something like that. And he was attacking and getting into the lane and just at least fighting. He was being valorous. And he only had 1 turnover at the halftime. So, look, man, if Allen's going to drive and score and not turn the ball over 5 times in a half, like, that's good. But you're right. Defensively, it's not quite there. And, you know, Travis, you bring up a point that I think is worth talking about because if you start looking at some of the recruiting choices that Auburn's been making, particularly at point guard or guard, you might see a little bit of a changing paradigm there, right? He has gotten away for a long time with very small guards. Jared Harper, Bryce. Right now he's got Wen, who's short. He's not small, but he's short, you know. And you look at these guys coming in. Aiden is 6 feet tall. He's not a giant by any stretch, but he's definitely taller and longer. LeBaron Philon, who's a major emphasis for them, the kid at Baker High School in Mobile that I think they can get, he's 6'3", and he's long. And Todd Pettiford is not a particularly big dude. He's probably more like Wen, but he's taller. So I think this staff is starting to change their feelings about the point guard position a little bit, particularly if LeBaron ends up being the guy. I mean, he's like a spider, y'all. He's long. And I think he can give you more defensively up there. I think they've got to have more. By the way, we're talking about basketball here. Auburn Tigers losing, of course, 80-77 at West Virginia. Also going on today is Junior Day in the football world, where Auburn is hosting 35 to 50 kids on campus right now. Auburn's first major on-campus event since Hugh Freeze was hired. And we've got at least 3 guys there. We got BMAT is there, Caleb is there, Henry is there. And then there's a rumor that Stolte may be going over there as well. I am still in Montgomery. That's where I work out of today, so I will not be getting over there. But a lot going on. Some absolute studs over there, including Jamarian Burnett, the tailback from Andalusia, who I'm a big fan of. Outstanding player. I know we got some folks, Jay Walker, one of them from the Andalusia area, who have seen him play a lot and know how good he is. This is a chance, really, between him and A-Train over at Elba to, if they can get both of those guys, to get back into like the Ronnie and Carnell era where you've got 2 absolute stud tailbacks. Dominating tailbacks. Okay, I'm just getting some rumors from the ground there from a recruiting perspective. Also, Don Properdicken, who's one of our favorite, he's a Dutch viewer. I believe that's where Properdicken is from. Says, love the brain drain, win or lose. Cheers. We appreciate having you here, bro. Travis J mentioned that Zepp is a good quick hands defender, but it can't be on the court due to limited offense. You're absolutely right. Wendell defense isn't cutting it. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Zepp was a really good percentage shooter last year, and the concept was shoot more. This year, the numbers just really aren't there, and you're right. He's kind of a one-dimensional player, more of a defensive guy, and even there, he's not quite where he needs to be. Zepp is what he is, right? Damn. Sounds like we could be on commit watch in the football world. I don't want to say exactly who it is. But, just read my watch here. It looks like somebody could be committing to Auburn today, a 2024 player. So we'll see how that goes. If that does go down, I'll get them on the horn, and we'll do that. We'll talk it out. Let's see some other stuff going on. C-Red says Phylon is a scorer also. Hope it translates to the SEC level. Yes, he is. He is an absolutely incredible scorer in high school. The problem, such as it is that high school basketball in the state of Alabama, by and large, is not very good. And so he's not necessarily taking on, even though he's at the highest classification, he's not taking on the best talent, right? He did score 30 consecutive points in a win maybe a week ago. To me, LeBaron has some insane explosiveness, NBA-type explosiveness. It would be nice to be covering him because I can guarantee you the team's going to be better with LeBaron in the lineup. StewPup74, who's with us every single week, and he's been there since the very, very beginning. An incredible guy who supports us both here and at auburnsports.com. Says if every team Auburn plays has a guy with that skill and size and can get 30 any night, that's an issue. That's 3 straight 30 pieces given up. You're right. And BP was talking about that after the show. He kind of, in a very lamentatious attitude, was like, another big guard getting us again. And that's almost like you just kind of see him just like that moment of realizing that show shit, you know. It is what it is. Thank you, Stu Pup. Corey Dubb in the house, one of our all-time favorite Montgomeryans, coming in strong from the capital city. Partied with him and his wife last weekend. Looking forward to seeing them again here before long. Don Properdickin sending in a super chat from the banks of Brussels. Thank you, Don, for watching the show and being a supporter of the show as well. I don't know who you are in the bunker, but I hope you're there. Corey Deb says Burnett committing today. I don't believe that's where they're going with that. I was thinking more like linebacker or cornerback. Ryan S., what up, bro? Ryan S., one of the all-timers, man. Formerly of the Huntsville area, now of the greater Nashville area. A former Auburn Tiger on the field. Says need to improve at the wing and shooting guard. You are correct, sir. Really needed that shooting guard. I'm somewhat okay with Allen. I like what Allen's been bringing these last 4 or 5 games, and I realize this is probably his last season here, but they're okay there. They're not even okay at shooting guard, and it really sticks out because that's a position where, I mean, a program like Auburn should be good, and you know they targeted that position in the portal and just didn't quite get it done last year. Missed on Eric Stevenson's one of them. Missed on Terrence Shannon, who's playing 3 at Illinois, but could have played 2 here. And then the dude that went to Tennessee, Julian Phillips. So that was, yeah. I mean, hey, man, BP does an incredible job. He's the best coach Auburn's ever had. He's the best coach Auburn could have. I mean, everything's great, but that doesn't mean he's always perfect. And that's just an area where they've got to improve a little bit. The good news is that from a recruiting perspective, I think they're in a great situation right now. I mean, you've got Aiden Holloway committed signed, I should say, for this coming next year. Point guard who's really, really good. Moving forward, they've got a really good shot at Tahad Pettiford, who's a point guard out of the Northeast. They got a really good shot at LeBaron Phylon, who's a point guard out of Mobile. We talked about him earlier. Tahad could play 2. He's not a big dude, but he can shoot. He's definitely what you're looking for from a shooting perspective. And then Floyd Badunga, who's a 7-foot center from Indiana who does not want to play in the Big Ten. Who Auburn has been in on. Auburn really likes him, obviously. Of course, everybody likes him, but he likes Auburn a lot, too. If they're able to get both of those point guards, or guards, plus Floyd Badunga, and then have a couple hits in the portal, they're going to be good. I mean, the future's going to be bright, guys. Let's be real. But they're that close, I think. Hey, that's my cat. Says, I thought we were a basketball school now. Uh-oh. I'm going to give him a DPIR. Then. Knuman says the apartments and such around West Virginia's campus look almost like the stuff from Auburn that they started tearing down in the 90s with 30 more years on them. Yeah. That rings a bell to me. That reminds me of what it was like when I was there, too, at West Virginia. AU256, one of our absolute legends from up in the North Alabama area, says JGT is the portal misses NIL related or something else in your opinion. No, I didn't think it was NIL related. BP has... I mean, I would rather him speak for himself on this, but in general, BP has a lot of NIL support. I haven't gotten the feeling that they've lost a kid due to money. I just don't think that would happen. I don't think that would happen. Jarris Walker, that's a complicated answer on the Jarris Walker. Not that you asked, but a lot of people have asked me about him because he's having a great year at Houston. And it came down to Auburn and Houston for him. And I thought at the time, like, Houston, who gives a shit? But, I mean, they are really good now. They're number one, and they're absolutely incredible. So he made a great decision for him. Auburn would love to have him. He's just a power 4 or 5 kind of guy, but still wouldn't give you a whole lot of shooting. Real Deal jumping in, another one of our outstanding legends from he's actually from Huntsville, the North Alabama area. He says, good to see the high top on the big screen. Let the hair flow. Glad to have, I can't believe I'm on a big screen somewhere. That's crazy. Certainly wouldn't be on my mom's big screen TV because she didn't have her computer with her where she's at. So she asked me if I'm on the TV, and it's kind of a complicated answer. I just say yes. Just say yes and we'll move on. Kanuman reminding everyone to smash the like button. We appreciate that. AU88 says we're an average basketball team. Yeah, I would say SEC average. I think that's fair. I think they're losing a little bit here in the schedule coming up, as you guys can see there on the left of the screen is pretty nasty. The Georgia game shouldn't be too bad. Georgia's just so-so. I realize Auburn lost at Georgia. It'll be about a month between the games, but I think they're going to have a better frame of reference when they play Georgia this time, plus it'll be inside Neville Arena, so I think that'll be good. But you still got 2 games against Tennessee, a home and home, and plus a home and home against the Bam Bams. 2 teams that are really, really good, top 10 type teams, and so that's going to be a real tell. Plus you got to go to Rupp Arena. It's going to be a bumpy ride, guys. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I mean, they're playing some great basketball there, but it's going to be bumpy on the second half. It's just some really good opponents, and the quality of opponents it's going to take a step up. What I would encourage you to do, you don't have to do what I say, but I would encourage you to not lose your shit over anything, okay? Because it's a long season. There's a lot of games ahead. This team's going to get in the tournament, and then it's going to be a matter of, can Wynn rise to the occasion? Can you get more out of Zep? Because guards are what does it in March, right? That's one of the things I should have thought about more last year, because I thought they would go to at least the Sweet 16 last year, if not a little further than that. But they didn't have the guards, right? The studs of that team was the center and the power forward. 2 outstanding players, but not necessarily the guards. And March is about guards. It's almost always about guards. Like the team, St. Peter's. They had guard play, 1, 2, 3. They were great for them. Casa DP, what's up, man? It's Where's Waldo? Says, what's in the glass, JG? Just tuning in and looking for brown water guidance. What I'm drinking here is the Yellowstone 2022 release. This has nothing to do with the TV show. This is from Limestone Branch Distillery in Lebanon, Kentucky. Marion County, Kentucky. It's where my people are from. It's a little bit northeast of Bardstown. And I really like it. It's 101 proof. I don't know that I would recommend it to somebody who's not really into bourbon because it's a little expensive. I think it's about $120 for a bottle. And it doesn't have... I don't think it would have widespread appeal with the taste. It's a little funky. I've gotten to where I like the funk a little bit, but just a little bit. Not as much as you would taste in a Willet product usually, but something like that. If you're looking for guidance, I don't know where you're at, Casa DP. And actually, I should know where you're at. You're over in Atlanta. These Maker's Mark private selections, a lot of times these are really good. If you hear about one that's good over your way, this one's from Montgomery. These are ones you can only get in the state of Alabama, but they have similar ones in Georgia. I feel like Maker's Mark, they do some good stuff with their wood blends and their private selections. And then, of course, an old standby. If you haven't had this, you need to have it. It's the Old Fine Whiskey from Old Forester. It's really, really good. You can find this in every shelf, essentially, particularly in your state, and then it's a really good bourbon. This tastes a lot like a $100 bourbon, and it's like $55. So there's my guidance for the day. Blake D in the house. What's up, man? He says, what's up, Auburn family? Hey, we gave ourselves a chance to win, but I truly hope we pick the defense back up. Defense looked just average, even though that tall white boy couldn't miss a shot. He was hot today, was he not? I think Loverboy had a song, The Boy's Hot Tonight. That should have been his his anthem tonight. D. Lucky says, guard play is killing us. I have to agree. Wynn is just kind of like, I don't want to talk bad about him. I mean, we all like Wynn, right? He's a fun dude to hang out with, and he's cheery, and he's a good guy. He's just not a great shooter. Today he was turnover prone. I thought that he didn't play an intelligent game today. And I felt like he either did or was close to spitting the bit there when BP went to Trey and kept Trey in 2 entire shifts longer than you would normally see Trey. Trey went 3 shifts there. I think he went in around the 13-minute mark, and he stayed in there until about the 6-minute mark. And they just left Wynn on the bench, BP did. And I thought Trey was great. I'm a big fan of Trey. I think we can watch him taking steps day by day. You know what I mean? I thought this was his best game, Trey Donaldson. And it finished with 7 points, which you're like, yeah, big game, Jay. No, he was playing so smart. And to me, and I wrote this in the game wrap, I think he's a more refined version of KD. He's an emotional player, but he's not so emotional that he gets off track. Now, KD had a really good second half today, so I'm not trying to disparage him, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen KD. He'll get so hyped up that he hypes himself out of the game. I don't think Trey does that. And I happen to think a whole lot of Trey Donaldson. I think this guy's going to play a lot through the years, and he's going to score a lot of points and come through in a lot of cases. There was a point today, one specific possession that it really, really turned me on about Trey. He drove in, this is in the first half, he drove in from the left side, and he knew that the guy, he had beaten his defender, and as the defender was trying to get around him, instead of just going toward the basket, which he's done before, he squared his shoulders to the basket and kind of drove almost diagonal to maintain leverage on that defender, which he had not done a month ago. So it's something that Wynn's really good at, but he's not. Well, he learned how to do that. And what he did is he fought off the defender and was able to put the ball in for a bucket. I mean, it was such a clutch play. And it's subtle, right? Hey, it's a lay-in. Who cares? But that's just tangible progress for that kid, and I love it. See, Elijah says, how do we feel about the SEC Challenge? I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention to what was going on in the other games. Except for Alabama was down at Oklahoma early. It probably has changed by now. Cass DP says, interesting call with the Yellowstone. Their lower proof standard offering is undervalued. Had an excellent private selection last night at Local 3 restaurant. Awesome. Always enjoy Old Forester. Sounds like you're on the right track, brother. You're drinking some good bourbon there. You don't have to spend a ton of money to have good bourbon. You really don't. Now, there is some good bourbon that's incredible. Like Denton's mom and cuz across the street. She was able to get a 15-year Pappy in the allocation. They were very kind and let us have a slug. It is legitimately incredible bourbon. It really is. It's very cherry-ish. I love cherries, but it is delicious. Is it worth $100 or $150? Whatever she paid for it. Yeah. Is it worth $1,000? No. That's what we end up having. That's the game you end up playing in the bourbon game right now. Let's see. Corey says Trey needs more minutes, specifically at crunch time. Yeah, in a situation where Wynn is not going to do it, I think I agree with you. I don't know as though BP would just do that normally. I didn't think Wynn really had his stuff tonight. Jalen did. Janai did in the second half for sure. I thought KD was terrific in the second half. I thought Trey had it. He did. I think he only took 1 3 and he missed it, but he was giving him hell. Blake says Alabama is down double digits almost halfway through the second half now. Very interesting. Thanks for the update, Blake. That would be sweet to see them lose. Always. Canoeman says Wynn is an incredible backup point guard, however. Interesting concept there. I mean, we've had a lot of time now to kind of assess Wynn, right? And I'm starting to kind of come around to what you're saying. He's definitely not a star. He's a good point guard. Not a great one. And, I mean, it was so frustrating, right, to watch that game late in the first half where he was trying to dribble through double teams and just giving the ball away. Like, what? Oh, my God. I think it was the last possession of the first half. He just completely, I don't know what he was doing. I was, at the TV going, what are you doing? I would love to just, if I was BP, I would say, come here. I want you to tell me in a sentence what you were trying to accomplish right there. One sentence. Say it. Well, I was trying to bust a double team. I mean, no, that's not going to work. That's not your game. That's not what you do. So do something else. Real Deal says, is Sazerac rye any good, Jage? I am not a rye guy myself. I got to admit that up front. So if I've had Sazerac rye, I don't remember it. Rye has a certain taste to it. Wheated bourbons which is what I like, has a certain taste to it, and they're different. You know that. I know you know enough about that, Real Deal, but I just don't drink a lot of rye. It's not my thing, and it just tastes funky, like bad funky to me, usually. Although I will say this, administrative assistant recently made a executive decision that the official mixer in this house is no longer Wild Turkey 101. It is now Old Forester Rye 100. So she really likes the way that rye works in as a mixer. And of course, I agree. That's how I stay married. Let's see. Cassidy Pieces win. Started off looking to feed others. Janai sadly did not get started. That's correct. And neither guy contributed until it was too late. Turnovers and boards killed us in the first half. Yeah, the boards was bad in the first half, wasn't it? Auburn ended up +1 in the game, so they had a great second half push. When and Janai underperformed. Talking about specifically in the first half. The first half was an absolute mess, just like it was in the A&M game. It's concerning, I'm sure, to BP that they keep getting off to these poor starts, and when you're having to come back from 17 against a solid team or a good team, it takes a lot out of you. Now, Auburn does have the depth to continue fighting, and they really go 9 deep at this point, 10 with Lior or Yo, but I'm just kind of looking at some of the numbers here. Simo only played 9. I think it says 9. He hasn't been very good. He just come back from the shoulder injury, and then he got popped in the mouth in practice. It was not a fight. It was a drill. And it messed him up. He was wearing a protective thing on his mouth the other day. So, that may be affecting him too. I know there's a lot of people on the board that are mad at Simo, and they think that he's wasted minutes or whatever, but I like Simo. I can win with Simo. Not as a starter, but as a contributor, as an 8th, 9th, 10th guy, for sure. He's a pretty good rebounder for what he is. And he's a good shooter in practice. He just doesn't assert himself or something. I don't know. It seems like it's a common theme, right? Janai sometimes doesn't assert himself. That's definitely a part of a thing with Jalen. I think Wynn doesn't have a problem with that, and KD doesn't have a problem with that, but some of the other guys do. Interesting. Kanuman jumps in again. He's still stuck in traffic, but he's still out here super chatting like a madman. What a stud this guy is. Smash the like button, yo. Can we give him an applause, guys? Thank you. I noticed you guys are paying a little more attention now that Alabama's losing, huh? You want to go over there and celebrate about it, huh? Let's see. Corey asks, so what are you doing about Al's antics? At least twice a game. Are you talking? You have to narrow it down for me because that could be a lot of different things. The thing that frustrates me about Al is that he goes on some weird ass drive like a few times per game, and I'm just like, this is not going to work. Like head down, going into a bad situation, you're just like, it's going to go bad. I mean, that's the way it always is with KD, but with Al, you're just like, here we go. He's going to do, a Euro step. He's going to spin around. He's going to be off balance. He's going to take an 8-footer leaning, about to fall down on the floor, and 2 guys are wide open. I was just like, what are you doing? Leanne says we lose in the first half for sure. It seems like it happens all the time, doesn't it? It didn't used to be like that, but it has been these last 2 games, and they have been stingers, man, because you feel like you got to beat Texas A&M at home. That's a game that they've got to win. And this game today, I mean, I think Auburn's a better team than West Virginia, but Eric Stevenson was by far the best player on the floor tonight. And I mentioned this a little bit in the game wrap that's on the front of auburnsports.com right now, though. But I think they made a strategic decision, a mistake, by not focusing on Stevenson earlier. I don't fault anybody for not coming out and basing the defense on Eric Stevenson. He's a good player, but he's not like Michael Jordan out there, okay? He's not a 30-point a night guy. At some point when he hits his 3rd or 4th three in the first half, now you've got to start thinking about something else. And then they did eventually start double-teaming him and trying to kind of trap him when he got there in the elbows, I guess, or further out from the elbows, whatever. But that wasn't until about 3 or 4 minutes left in the first half, and I thought, well, they should have done that at the 10-minute mark or even before that. You don't have to commit to it for the whole game, but at least get him off kilter a little bit. What they had been doing instead was shifting between that 2-3 zone and then shifting their man from either tight man or kind of like laying off like Joe Champy type man. They were doing that, hoping to kind of rankle him a little bit, and didn't work. Then they switched to kind of a more of a double team situation with him. I thought it was a little bit slow on that adjustment. And then again in the second half, I thought the defensive strategy was good. I just think he shot over him. Some people can do that. Some people have that Reggie Sharp range, from the Tiger Eyes. Yeah, I remember. I was there. Cassidy P says, we are a consistent player away from being good. Ideally, that consistent player would be either Al or J. Will, which would allow for Wen and Janai to recapture the mojo. Yeah. Al's not going to be that guy. I think J. Will has that ability. But again, it's like a personality thing. He doesn't take command of a game very often. I thought today, when he was given opportunities in the second half, he came through. He was good. He was a big part of that surge in the second half because he was scoring. Him and Janai were terrific. But it's just like it doesn't come naturally for him to be assertive. And BP is constantly begging him to be more selfish. And I just don't think it's him. Cassidy DP also says Simo and Jay will make the kind of twos we need when we don't hit threes. With threes being scarce this year, we would benefit mightily from them. Yeah, Auburn really needs some 3-point shooting. And I don't think there's a solution to that, at least not right now. It's pretty amazing that Auburn is on its first losing streak since February of 2021. That's pretty amazing. They had a really bumpy second half of the season that year. Let's see, I'm just eyeballing it here. They lost, 8 of their last 11 in 2021. Of course, that was a weird year when it was like Sharif came in halfway through and JP was playing great and then he disappeared and Al was playing point guard and it was a mess. Such a weird year. I think this season's probably going to get a little bit bumpy like that, but ultimately I think they'll get into the tournament as like a 7 or an 8 seed and maybe they'll be able to get something done. I do think there's some special players on this team. Janai is a particularly good player. Jalen, when he's in gear, is a particularly good player. So that's good. Those are good things. And I also think, I don't think Trey Donaldson's a PTPer, as Vital would say, but I'm not putting anything by him because I really feel like we're seeing him just take a step every single time out. So to me, there's no telling what he's going to be like when we get to March 10th or 15th or whatever. I think he has a chance to be a pretty damn good player by that time. I don't know if he's a three-point shooter. Currently, he's 5 of 19 from 3. That's 26%. Probably not going to help you there, but... And oddly, he's not very good at the free throw line either, 56%. But he's a guy that's just learning how to play the position, how to box out, how to maintain good leverage when you're driving to the bucket, and he's going to help them. He's really going to help them. Let me go ahead and get this KenPom array so we can kind of talk a little bit about what Auburn is. Things really aren't changing too much. Bump, bump. Come here, buddy. I'm going to figure out how to share my screen one of these days real damn soon. All right, so here's the KenPom scouting report on the Auburn Tigers. As it stands after this game today, the numbers really don't change much because the Auburn's played, 20 games or 21 games. But as you can see, the footprint, the numbers on the right column are the defensive numbers. So Auburn's three-point defense is outstanding. Auburn's block percentage is outstanding. And then you see in that left column, those red boxes under miscellaneous components, that's where Auburn's struggling a little bit. Three-point shooting, 29.5 as a team, not good. And free throw shooting is also not good. And when you see the steal percentage in red on the offensive side, that means they're just giving the ball away too much. And that's partly on Wen. That's partly on Al. Al had a 7-turnover game the other day. So it's just an uneven team. Ryan S. jumps in with another super chat. Says Jay Will has the ability, but not the mentality. I completely agree. To me, he's a lot like Chum was a couple 3 years ago. But Chum had, and I don't think of Chum as a particularly like alpha type player, but he was more of that player than Jalen is. Jalen sometimes to me comes across as almost a meek person, but he definitely has skill and ability. There's no doubt about that. D. Lucky jumping in says, about 3 minutes left. Jay Will passed up an in-rhythm 3 and threw the ball to Wen, who promptly took a contested 3 and missed. I need more dog. No, I got too many cats. Need more dogs. Yeah, I don't remember that specific one. Just I was probably typing when it happened, but that sounds on brand. Yeah, it sounds on brand. So that is the defensive. That's the scouting report, I should say, from Ken Palm there, and it's getting familiar at this point. Can't shoot the three very well. Can defend the three very well. Block a lot of shots. Generally rebound pretty well. But that lack of 3-point presence, it really, really hurts. It's an anvil. It's an anchor dragging them down day after day after day. There's times when you can go out there like you did against South Carolina and at LSU where you shoot like ass from three and you're still just so good from two it doesn't matter. But when you play dynamic teams, it really is a problem. Corey Dub says Chuma was learning to be that dog before he went down. He did. It was a really poorly timed injury for him in that tournament in 2019 to go down. But at the same time, it was kind of a rallying point for that ball club, right? And, I mean, them getting to the Final Four, running through Kansas, Kentucky, and North Carolina. Man, that's going to be one of those that, like, 30 years from now, we'll be like, can you believe that? Yeah, D. Lucky agrees. Says he had just unlocked it. He would have crushed Virginia. Dude, Auburn crushed Virginia. If the referees were calling a proper game, I think I know who wins that. And then Auburn plays Texas Tech for the title, and I think I know who wins that one too. That would have been such an interesting game because, Wes Flanagan worked for Chris Beard for a while and likes him and considers him, a stud, a good guy. And also the assistant coach for that team, who's now the head coach, I forgot his name, is somebody else that Wes really looks up to. So that would have been really interesting from that perspective. In the same vein, I wonder where Chris Beard ends up next year. He got fired from Texas for some off-the-court issues. And I wonder if it's going to make him just too toxic for like a major program to pick up, because I think that guy can absolutely coach. Let's see. Cassidy P says, interesting take on Okiki and Jay Will being guys similar types of players. I mean, they're both fours that have a lot of range. And I think, Chum is like a moon unit. I mean, Chum is just like on another planet. Like he's a very odd individual. I say that very lovingly as an odd individual myself, but he's a strange person. Jalen's not. I mean, Jalen's a normal guy. He's just kind of quiet. I mean, I remember running into Chuma on campus, whenever, his first year at Auburn, and he's like skipping. He's literally skipping. And he's singing loudly with nobody around him the SpongeBob theme. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, listen to SpongeBob. Word? Word? Sounds good. All right, man. Hope you have a Krabby Patty and have a great day. There's no doubt. What's a Krabby Patty, JG? Does Christy know that? I don't know if she does or not. Let's see if I can quickly... Guys, can you help me on this? If I can get the Synergy data up. I should have done this before I went on the air. But I didn't. I was working on the game wrap. Oh, well, look at you. Did they kept me logged in this time? Wow, that's exciting. No, I don't want to see the Mississippi Rebels. I want to see the Auburn Tigers. Auburn Tigers. Oh, yeah, we're getting some. Yeah, you can kind of see some of the problems here. I haven't looked at this data in a little while. Henry looks at a lot of this data. He loves this stuff. I got to look at the. Sorry, guys. I know this is scintillating information here. I'm trying to see play types. There we go. Oh, for fuck's sake. You can really see what the problem is here. All right, I'm going to pull this over. Yeah, here's the salient information right here. Okay, so Synergy does a lot. The data from there is a lot deeper. I'm going to have to talk you through some of this stuff because it can be a little complicated. Come here, buddy. It's too damn big. That's what she said. All right, so this is Auburn's. These are the play types, the various types of plays that you have in a basketball game, right? You have spot-up shooting, transition buckets, pick-and-roll ball handler, and these are ordered in the frequency that Auburn uses them. Spot-up shooting, which has been, that's a Bruce Pearl staple. This is what they do. The 2019 team was like in the 96th percentile in spot-up shooting. This team, 19th percentile, below average. They're bad at spot-up shooting. Transition, 52%. The number on the far right, the blue number on the far right there. I guess it's, well, I can't point out to it. That tells you what percentile they're in the country. So ideally you'd want to be 99, and the worst to be 1%. So pick and roll ball handler again these are the absolute staples for BP. Spot up shooting, pick and roll ball handler. These are the things that they do because it's a high screen offense. So you're either going to roll and shoot, or you're going to roll and drive. I mean, that's basically. I mean, Auburn does more than that. You know what I mean? But like that's the paradigm. And they're bad at roll ball handler, and they're bad at shooting, and it's just not. It's ugly. It's hideous. And some of these numbers here low. I mean, the isolation is 74, very good. I mean, that's because Jay Will gets set up for isos, and he's pretty damn good at it. He gets good matchups. The DHO stuff, Auburn just doesn't do much of that, but they're good at shooting off of DHOs. And then pick and roll man, they used to be good at that with Anthony McLemore. He was the man at that. So he would set a screen, ball would roll off, he'd sidestep to the 3-point line, they kick it back to him, and he hits it. It's that machination. They did a little bit of that with Chum. They don't do that with Jalen because I don't think he likes to shoot that way. And then Janai doesn't really have that ability. And then Al's a driver. He's been driving high, so you don't really have anybody to run that machination either. It's just a weird. This team does not do the stuff that the good Bruce Pearl teams do. Period. William H. says, how does Bruce fix this team? That's a great question. I don't think it's fixable right now, William. As in like a hot fix here in the middle of the season. I don't think there's a way to do that. I think what you do is you just try to get more consistency. I'm going to switch over to Maker's Mark. You get a little more consistency out of some of these guys. I do think there's more untapped potential with Wen. And I think you kind of teach Wen or work with Wen to try to, when he's having a bad game like he did today, to find other ways to not be bad, right? I mean, we know what he does, and he's going to try to roll off screens high and then do things. And if that's not working, if they're double teaming him and forcing the ball out of his hands, he's got to find a way to be more impactful as an off-ball attacker. He doesn't have that ability right now. So you can work on stuff like that. I think there's a way to make it better, but fix, I don't like the word fix. I don't think you could fix it right now. You just need some different kinds of players. You need players that are better spot-up shooters and better pick-and-roll ball handlers. I mean, who can score on that machination? That's my short answer on that. But that's a great question, William. Patrick D., the legend himself, Why Not AU on the bunker, says, for those in Morgantown, let's have a drink at the Apothecary Ale House and Cafe. That sounds good. I wish I was there. Alabama Stoop Up updates us. They're down, almost 20, down 19 at Oklahoma. Man, my friend Matt London's going to be stoked about this, watching those Sooners beat up on Bam Bams. We all like that, don't we? CD Lucky says, fewer turnovers from win and mid-range game. Yeah, that would be helpful. I would love to see the data. I could probably be the one to do this, D Lucky, to see like how Auburn performs offensively versus number of turnovers, right? Because in the first half today, I think they had 9 turnovers in the first half, and then they had 4 in the second half. And that's a pretty obvious situation there, right? Offense was ass in the first half, turning the ball over a lot. Offense was terrific in the second half. They played winning basketball offensively in the second half. And if it hadn't been just for, West Virginia playing so well in the final 4 minutes and Auburn kind of throttling down on defense a little bit, I think they win the game by 5 or 6. Stoop Up says, here's the thing, JG. I do think Wynn can get better. He's an inefficient player. You're right. He's 39 of 110 with a 1-3, 1.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. Yeah, that's not quite good enough, is it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not here to rag on him. We like Wynn. Everybody here likes Wynn. He's a likable guy, and he plays hard. He's just small, I should say he's short. He can't defend. He's got to defend guards, and even then it's kind of a push. So they can't really do the switching that they would like to do, and that's the thing. Stupup says, I don't like Wynn. Sorry. No, you don't have to say you're sorry. You would like him personally. That's kind of what I was saying. He's a likable guy, but I understand there's inherent problems with him just physically. And then you also talk about his game. He's not a great shooter. He's a solid shooter, but he's not a great shooter, and he also is turnover prone, which is really not something you want to see from a third-year starting. I mean, 2 at Auburn, but 1 at Eastern Kentucky before that. A third-year full-time starting point guard to be so turnover prone. You don't want to see that. So, yeah, there are some problems. But, hey, let's go through some of the good things, though. Jalen is emerging as a real problem for opponents, right? He's got really good range. He's getting more consistent from 3. Let me see what his numbers are up to now on the three-point shooting. He is now 23 of 61 from 3, so at 38% now, he's definitely Auburn's leader. Well, technically he is. Chris Moore is actually 8 of 16 from 3 this year, but he doesn't shoot too much. And the Burminator's 5 of 11. Again, he doesn't shoot too much. Jalen does shoot quite a bit. Your main shooters are Jalen at 38%, KD's at 27%. Janai doesn't shoot a lot, and Wen is at 28%. And that's just not it. Compare that to the 19 team where you've got Jared is shooting 37%, Bryce is shooting 41%, Chum is shooting 39%, even McLemore playing the 4 and the 5 is shooting 34%, and then Samir, who's really a forgotten member of that 19 team because he came off the bench a lot, 44% from 3 that year, 44 of 101. That's a team that really had it together from a shooting perspective, and this team does not. So, D. Lucky says that Wen Green is the Rob Deere of. He didn't actually say that. I'm putting words in his mouth, but he's the Rob Deere of basketball. The 2 true outcomes, right? Strikeout or home run for Rob Deere. It's turnover or missed contested deep shot. Those are the 2 choices. Yeah, I agree, D. Lucky. That's kind of where he's at right now. I mean, he still has some good games, though, but the lack of consistency there is alarming just because he's such a veteran player, you know. Delicious. Guess there hasn't been a commitment on the football tip, huh? We are on commit watch, though. At some point, one of y'all need to teach me about this Chat GPT stuff. I know everybody's been talking about it. I need to know more about it. I see the people talk about it on Reddit a lot, and I don't have any idea what it is. I probably should. Solo Tigre says, compare that to the Stevenson kid. Yeah, I mean, he's not a point, but he's absolutely a lethal shooter. Let me see what his numbers are, bro. Not that you necessarily asked me that, but I'm going to get it for you anyway. Let's see. Eric Stevenson is now, after this game, 38% from 3, which is pretty damn good. And he shoots a lot. 51% from 2, 76% from the line. So you can definitely win with a guy like that. That's the reason they were going after him, you know. Yeah. It's a guy that can play 2 and 3 for you. Eric Stevenson. And again, they wanted him. They did. There's people in the bunker that say they didn't, but they did. And I also figure this could have been a trap game in the sense that, you know, they come into this game, Auburn does, against a West Virginia team that's 12-8, lost a bunch of conference games to open, but KenPom still had them number 25 in the country. And they've now jumped up to 20 after that win against Auburn. Auburn has dropped from, I think, 20 to 24 in KenPom now. They are 24 for sure right now. No, they were 19. I take it back. So, you know, a little bit of a swoon there, but I'm just kind of going through the roster here. I mean, and we've talked about him a bunch today. I think he needs to just be more consistent and not turn the ball over, as D. Lucky was mentioning. Janai, you know, he's a guy that needs help to score, so you just need to give him that help and that support to get him the ball in a position where he can take advantage of what he can do. He's pretty quick, left and right. He's really good with that little push shot with his left hand. He's a pretty creative guy around the bucket. but he's either a poacher or he's got to be set up. KD is what he is. Jalen, similar deal. Can't really create his own shot, so you need to feed him. Flan is a guy who does create his own shot, but he gets himself into cul-de-sacs too often. Been a little bit better about that lately, but I thought he had a pretty good game today. I thought he single-handedly saved them from just complete abject disaster in the first half. But, yeah, Cosimo, I mean, there's not a lot. You know, he does what he does. Dylan, he does what he does. Trey, definitely getting better, but I don't think he's going to be a star this year. And then Zep is what he is. It's crazy to see Zep going. He's listed on KenPom as nearly invisible because he only gets just a few opportunities. He plays 47% of the minutes, about 12% of the shots. That's a lot different than last year. How about that? Well, it is what it is. Ryan S. says, how about Missouri? I didn't see them blowing out Iowa State. Yeah, Missouri's kind of weird, right? They got into a funk, and then they've kind of popped back. And they've been playing better basketball here. Solo Tigre, thanks for jumping in here. It says, for ChatGPT, you just create a username, a password, and go to town. No rules, really. Just give it a prompt or ask it a question, and away it goes. So it just basically makes up shit, like stories and whatnot. I'll have to take a look. Craw Daddy says, ginger beer has been my go-to mixer with tequila. That sounds good. Could be good with some bourbon on the rocks. I'm behind in the street. No problem, bro. By the way, I'm drinking Yellowstone. That is not associated with the TV show. Well, let me rephrase that. I was drinking Yellowstone. It's the 2022 release. I have since moved over to Maker's Mark. This is the private selection. The Montgomery one, which I helped pick, which means that I tell people that I picked it. You can find this in the ABC stores, specifically East Chase for sure in Montgomery. So I don't know where you're at, Crawdaddy. But wherever you are, there's good bourbon to drink. And tequila. I actually drank tequila in 2022 for the first time in a while and enjoyed it. Because there's like better, there's good tequilas instead of that ass stuff we used to drink in college, Kanuman says ginger beer is an incredible mixer. I concur. Denton's mom is a big fan of ginger beer. Mm-hmm. Let's see. D. Lucky says the good win games come when the mid-range is falling. Opens up other stuff and gives him options to dish or drive and get to the line, which is the next domino that allows him to space. So those deep threes are open. Just need to hit threes. I almost feel like he's Evel Knievel from three-point range, right? He's trying to go deep. He's trying to be a spectacle rather than just getting the ball in the hole, That's kind of been my criticism of him as a shooter. And also, generally, BP teams have not been mid-range teams. This one is a little bit. So it goes. Corey Dub says, I'm drinking Corona, not associated with the virus. Got it. And Knuman just randomly throws out Denton. That's him. Stu Pup says, is Elijah Craig a good bourbon? Absolutely. They had some Elijah Craig variants at a local store I'd never seen before, but I'm a bourbon noob. Yeah, Elijah Craig, I'd be curious to see what AU Taxman thought about it because I almost always defer to him in these situations. But yeah, Elijah Craig is one of those. For me, it's like it's good, and it's good all the time. Like every bottle of Elijah Craig is essentially the same, and it tastes good, and it's one I don't drink a lot of. I do like their Toasted Barrel one, which is getting a little more common than it used to be. I really like that one. It just has a better taste to me. But I like Elijah Craig, yeah. That's a good one. Definitely credible bourbon. That's kind of what I'm talking about, Stu Pup, where the bourbons you can find, in your case, I think you're in Alabama. I'm trying to remember. I think you're in North Alabama. The ABC here, there's a lot of good bourbon that's in the ABC store. We all spent, not you, but a lot of goobers like me chase this, that, and the other because they're, alluring or whatever. But I mean, seriously, if we're talking about like Weller CYPB, right, which would cost you probably $600 to get on secondary right now, like there's a lot of bourbons at the ABC store that are 98% as good, in my opinion. Like Russell's 10 is a terrific sweet bourbon. You don't necessarily need anything more expensive than that. It's just my opinion. Tayu Taxman does get the thumbs up on Elijah Craig products. Stu Pep says Elijah Craig Toasted was one they had, and they were stocked at the store. Yeah, you should. That's one I think I would go ahead and grab. North Georgia. I should know that. I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I see your posts and stuff, and I know it's been snowy, so or in the somewhat recent history, so I should have known. My bad, dude. Yeah, D Lucky. That's the math I'm talking about, bro. The 35-foot three versus a 22-foot three, right? They're both 3 points, and one of them you can hit it about 35%. One of them you can hit it about 20%. So, unless you're Steph Curry, which he's not. Let's see. Stoop Up says, I'm not chasing bourbon to chase. I'm just trying to get blasted. Attaboy. That's the right answer right there. In that case, I think Elijah Craig is a perfect choice for you. If you can get the toasted barrel and it's not like significantly more expensive than their single barrel, I would probably go that direction. Russell's Reserve is almost always going to be on the shelf where you're at. Another good one that you can find in Georgia very easily, but not here, is called McKenna, Bottled and Bond, or McKenna 10-year, I guess. It's 100 proof, 10-year, very coveted here in Alabama, but every time I go to Georgia, it's like everywhere. So that would be another one I'd take a look at if you're over that way. Let's see, Flying Around. What's up, brother? Glad to see you here on the show, man. We love Flying Around. He's been around a long time with us, and we love him. This is Jay. I bought some Angel's Envy. Good choice a few weeks ago for the first time, and it's been fantastic. I like it better than Woodford. I do, too. That is a Angel's Envy from Louisville, from downtown Louisville, Kentucky, and they finished that, I think, in a rum cask. It's either a wine cask or a rum cask. It definitely has a kind of a finish on it that I like. And they have a rye version of that that's a little more expensive for reasons I don't understand, but it's like a whole lot sweeter, and I don't like it. So we'll see. Ravine in the house. What up, bro? Ryan S., also a big fan of McKenna. Yeah, that McKenna 10's good. It's real good. I'm not sure it's real good. Ravine says, what up, JG? Did not get to watch the game, but I heard it wasn't a good day for us. Ultimately, it was a loss. They were down 17 early in the second half, Ravine, but they made a great rally and got within one. Just couldn't quite. They never did get even. And so, it is what it is. I thought they kind of, defensively, they played a great game from like the 18-minute mark of the second half to about the 4-minute mark of the second half. Really, really brought it. And then I thought the last 4 minutes of the second half, they didn't quite have the same intensity. Probably just got tired from the rally. But ultimately just kind of fell down a little bit there. Corey Dub says, checking on my mom, JG. Love the show. Hit you up later. Hey, I appreciate you. Hey, when I had the personal best yesterday, I texted you, bro. I know you know that because you answered, but I came to you. I was hauling ass yesterday. Smoking Mirrors, who's an absolute legend, says all the good bourbon in South Carolina is crazy expensive or impossible to find. I know this from firsthand because Smoking Mirrors sent me some pictures on the text machine of some of the prices they were asking of his stuff over there. Yikes. But Smoking Mirrors also sent me my first ever bottle of rum. It was Diplomatico, and recently acquired by Brown Forman, which is essentially Old Forester and Woodford Reserve. It's good. I'm about halfway through that bottle now, which, considering my bourbon rotation, that's pretty damn good. It is delicious. I didn't realize rum to me is a lot like bourbon, except it's a whole different degree of sweetness, because they're essentially distilling sugarcane, so it's definitely going to be sweeter. And some of the rums I've actually tried some since then, because that was the first one I'd ever had, Smoking Mirrors. You kind of introduced it to me. They get really, really sweet. Diplomatico's not crazy sweet. I mean, it's good. It won't blow your head off with just that hit of like the sugar taste that some of them give you. Canoeman, also a big fan of the 10-year McKenna up there where he lives. Maybe able to find that a little bit more often than here in Alabama. Stoop Up, thanking everyone for new options. Yeah, man. We're here to help, for real. AU Taxman's the guy that I listen to on this. Ravine says, so the team's missing a go-to shot maker. I mean, that would be a great thing to have. Yeah, I don't think they necessarily lost this game because of that. I think they just kind of had trouble in the first half with a particular shooter. Eric Stevenson from West Virginia was just absolutely lighting him up. I thought they were slow to make an adjustment on him specifically, and then they did, and he still shot over them. So to me, I think they lost the game today mostly because they couldn't contain Stevenson. He got him for 30. 10 of 17 from the floor, and he was a real problem. I think that's why they lost the game. But there's also the problems we've been talking about with Wens, just inconsistent, turns the ball over too much, and something about it's fallen so far behind me. You're down 17 again? I mean, if you're going down 17 on the road, you're going to get screwed most of the time. Just because it's really hard to come back anyway, and then you're going to be there in that arena, and they're booing you, and all it's loud and shit. It's just hard to do. It's hard to do. One time I saw Kentucky come back from a 31-point deficit at LSU, but that's unusual. Very unusual. D. Lucky says they had a guy go 7 of 10 from 3. Would you be interested in something like that, Ravine? That's funny right there. Ravine says, I would be thrilled to have someone like that. Yes, I'm sure. It's been a while, hasn't it? Need to get that Devin Cambridge swag back, right? Stoop Up says, Ryan says, have you had any Uncle Nearest brand? It's a Tennessee whiskey. I am familiar with it. I've not had it. I will admit that being a Kentucky guy myself, born in Kentucky, married to a Kentucky girl, I generally don't drink Tennessee whiskey because I just have a problem with it. With the notable exception of Blue Note, which is out of Memphis. I do like that a lot. I did warn you guys, those of you who are on the show a lot, like AU Taxman and D Lucky and some of the others, I warned you guys that 9-year was about to disappear from shelves and you needed to get it then. And for the last year, Blue Note 9-year is damn near gone. You cannot find it here where I am. I'm glad I stocked up. Still got 3 bottles in case I need it for the zombie apocalypse or whatever. Captain Eagle Flygood in the house. I even got a sound for Captain Eagle Flygood.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
There you go. That's for Captain Eagle Flygood. It says, just checking in, fam. Punched through a garage window in the first half after the half closing and won, and got a few stitches, but glad we fought back. I love it, man. Henry did a little joke like that on a tweet the other day. Like, he jumped into like a Cowboys tweet, and he said something like, screamed at my wife, punched my TV, told my kids to fuck off, and like left the house, and I'm mad. Which is none of it's true. He's not married, doesn't have kids. And these people were getting on him on Twitter. You need to get control of your anger. And I'm just like, it was funny. That stuff makes me laugh. Kanuman says Blue Note is surprisingly great. Yeah, it really is. Talking about the Blue Note 9-year. I've had some of the other stuff they've had. A lot of times you can get the Crossroads and the Juke Joint pretty readily available where I am. I'm sure they're very available where you're at, up there a little bit north of me. But they're not the same for me. It's that 9-year. And my man Cuz across the street has, I believe, a 17-year joint, which was really good too. But he had to get that in allocation. I bet that's kind of tough to come by. Let's see. Ryan S. says, let me know. I can send you a bottle. Holy shit, a bottle of what? Sounds good. You're talking about Uncle Nearest, right? Company finished working there and now doing a wild turkey. I love wild turkey, dude. Is that the best value in bourbon? I think it is. Wild turkey is. I think AU Taxman might agree with me on that. I think Wild Turkey 101 is probably the best value in bourbon. You can buy like a half gallon of that for $40, and it's pretty freaking good. You can mix it. You can drink it straight. It's good. Welcome to the Bourbon Train here at auburnsports.com. We do like talking bourbon, though. Let's see. Crawdaddy says Neil was talking Chris Beard to Ole Miss. Hell, you heard him talk more than I have in the last 6 weeks. I don't know where Neil is. I texted him last weekend and hoping to get that thing straightened out and rectified or whatever the hell it is, and I haven't heard shit since then. But anyway, thinking that Chris Beard might go to Ole Miss, thinking that Kermit is in real trouble. Yeah, I think he probably is too. Kermit's a good coach. I'm not sure what happened there. When he came into Ole Miss, I thought that was a great hire. Of course, I thought the same thing about Tony Barbie. I really did. I like Tony Barbie. I like what he did at UTEP. He had that, the background with Cal, and I kind of liked him on a personal level. But that didn't work out. Also like PP a lot. PP's I go up to the basketball offices on every Tuesday, and I just try to hang out a little bit and talk to everybody, whether it's Steven or Wes, Ira, Burgo, Coach Ian, BP, whoever I run into up there, and there's some good dudes that work there, man. I don't want to get choked up, but I had a conversation. Stephen Pearl in particular, like he asked me about my mom a lot, and it's just like, I don't know, it means a lot to me. Chad Pruitt, another one, asked me about my mom. Those guys care about people, man. They just get it. I don't know, they just get it. Those guys just understand. I have reason to believe that the new football staff does too. My experiences with them, specifically with Hugh, with his chief of staff, with Ben Agamaga, with Ron, they're good guys, man. In addition to being good coaches, and they recruit too. So I think that the football team's in really good hands, guys. Counter to what Mike CB might have told you. Canuman says Ryan Powell loved him some Barbie. Their paths crossed at Memphis. Ryan Powell, of course, possibly the greatest Auburn sports information intern ever. Him and Barrett Salee. Ryan Powell, an absolute stud. I got to hang out with him at the Final Four in Minneapolis. We shared a few beers. Truly one of my all-time favorite folks at Auburn. He is missed. And also, I always feel like I have to say this about somebody. His wife's really hot, too. Married a very pretty girl. Let's see. Feel Like a Stranger says if Ole Miss hires Chris Beard, do they become a cult? Uh-oh. I know what that means. Guys, you know Neil said that about Auburn, right? He said Auburn's a cult. I've been here at Auburn since 1998, and I feel like I know a lot about Auburn, and I would not describe Auburn as a cult. I would not. I wouldn't. To say that Auburn players pray before a football game, I mean, that's just I am myself Christian. I am myself do a lot of praying myself for me and for others. I don't see the problem there, but we've talked about this, so I'm not going to go through it again. AU Taxman agrees that Wild Turkey 101 is a great choice. However, he likes Rare Breed more. Rare Breed is another Wild Turkey genre. And, yes, that is a terrific bourbon. It's a little more expensive. You can't get that for $40 for a half gallon, but I think that's more like, in my store anyway, I think it's $50-ish for a fifth. But still, that's reasonable. Rare Breed is a great example of a bourbon, like when people say, oh, shit, I got to pay, I got to get Weller Single Barrel or something. No. Rare Breed. Get it. All right, looks like this game may have ended. Looks like Alabama maybe went down. I'm glad you guys are able to watch that and enjoy it. Smoky Mirrors jumps in, says, I have a bottle of the Plantation 20th anniversary, and it's really good. Have you tried Diplomatico? Reserva J mentioned. It's fantastic. I will say for sure, AU Taxman, that Diplomatico, I really enjoyed it. But if you guys are like rum connoisseurs, I don't know where that would fit. I would imagine Diplomatico is going to be something like a Rare Breed, like a good one. Yeah, so I would be interested. Seriously, Taxman, I'm going to message you and try to get to the bottom of this, see if there's a couple rums that I need to be trying. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Oh, Stu Pup says, I enjoyed that one. Attaboy. That's what I'm talking about. All right, you think we ought to wrap it up, guys? Yeah, we probably should. We've been on the hour. We've been on the show for an hour 24. Just right now, as I say that, Bill M jumps in. Says, still think we're big tournament bound. We can improve, but not sure how many losses we can take without big wins. Yeah, I think they're going to get in the tournament as a 7 or an 8, is my opinion, Bill. I still think they're going to get some W's. And I don't think the team's just trash. I don't. I think they've got some holes. I think they have a big hole at 2. And Al is very up and down at 3. And Wynn is very up and down at 1. And I think Janai and Jalen are really good. And I think Trey's coming along. They're going to have some better players, I think, in the future. They'll probably be better. That's just my thought anyway. I do think they're going to get in the big boy tournament, though. I really do. I think that's going to happen. Anyway, guys, I'm going to probably wrap it up there for this Saturday. Canuman's fantastic show as always, Commodore. No. Thank you for being fantastic every day. I'm just following your lead, brother. And I hope you guys have fun up there in Morgantown or wherever you guys are actually convening at. I know Why Not is up there. And Pocket Watch is with you, so that's a good group there. D Lucky says cheers and love, peeps. Do we love D Lucky, guys? Absolutely. Guys, We do. We love you, Lucky. Of course we do. Love everybody in the chat. Thank you guys, the super chatters. You know I love you guys. Appreciate you all doing that. I hope Don Proper-Dickin is still here. He's not still watching the Netherlands soccer match. But anyway, guys, we'll check you out. Let's see. The next game is Georgia, Wednesday night, 6 o'clock tip in the Central Time Zone, and we'll do a show after that one for sure. That's going to be a big game because Auburn's got to get off this rut, right? Got to get a win, get back in the W column. Little reclamation project after having lost in Athens, so I got to win that one. And I do think Auburn's a better ball club than Georgia at this point, so that should be a W. And then you've got the at Tennessee, at Texas A&M game with a back to back, and it's gonna be a tough one. But the good news is that the game times are palatable for us, and we will be doing drains. So I will be here with you guys, and you guys will be here with me. William H says, "Good show. I appreciate you being here. I hope you're back for the next one on Wednesday night." All right. Until then, keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Let's make great decisions. Have a great Saturday. I will see you guys on the bunker at auburnsports.com. And until then, be studs. Be studly. Peace.